Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the Raptors and Bucks and the Wizards and the Hawks. We're going to skip on over to the Western Conference. Give me your thoughts on Warriors, Blazers, particularly with Kevin Durant out of the lineup. Do you think it's a good thing that they're playing so well without Durant, or do you think that there's a premium for Durant to be back in the lineup because they're definitely going to need the services of Kevin Durant when you start going against teams like the Spurs, even a squad like the Clippers, and we definitely know against the Cavs, you're going to need Durant. So is it a little bit of fool's gold that they're playing so well right now without Durant? I've heard comments that, hey, they don't really necessarily need Durant at this point with the way they're playing.
You need Kevin Durant to get out of the West. And if you need Kevin Durant just to get out of the West, that means you need him to win a championship. Golden State will not win the West without Kevin Durant. So what you do with him?
They've already proven that.
Yeah, you handle him with kid gloves. You handle him with kid gloves. You make sure he's 90 to 100% on that calf. I wouldn't even play him today. I just looked. He is going to go today. And so, you're not winning a championship without him. Now, the individuals who are saying the Warriors are a better basketball team without Kevin Durant, they're not taking into account you no longer have the deep bench that you had last year. Harrison Barnes gone, Bogut gone, Barbosa gone, Spates gone. And then Livingston, I think he's on the mend as well. He's dealing with some issues, injury issues. And then even the guys that...
Kev, let me interject real quick. Was Barnes ever...
Say it again?
I think we're having a technical difficulty.
Right.
With Flo Montana's feed, with Javon's feed. I think he was getting at was Harrison Barnes ever, a real formidable player? I mean, did they really lose a lot in losing Harrison Barnes?
Well, you lose a lot in conjunction with the other guys that you lost. So he was a piece. He was a valuable piece. I think you back online?
I'm back online. I'm
okay.
Back on.
What was your question?
So my question was Harrison Barnes. So when we talk about the depth of the Golden State Warriors, we're usually referring to Festus Ezeli. We're referring to guys like Harrison Barnes and obviously Andrew Bogut. And then you mentioned Leandro Barbosa as well. But I would beg to, or I would at least want to put the argument out there that you didn't get much from Harrison Barnes when you really needed him, particularly in Game 7 last year. He struggled all throughout that series with the Cavs. And Andrew Bogut wasn't much of a factor either. So I just wanted to put a contrasting point of view out there as it pertains to the perceived depth that the Warriors had last year as opposed to this year.
I'm going to have to correct you right there, Flo. Bogut was huge in the first two games defensively. The Cavs could not score at the rim. When he got hurt, and then all of a sudden, Kyrie and Tristan Thompson started having Lob City in Golden State and in Cleveland, that changed the entire dynamic of the series. Obviously, you could point to Draymond Green being out of game and things of that nature, but Andrew Bogut's rim protection in the first two games and his defensive rotations and help were killing the Cavs at the rim.
Not just that, but what goes understated, his illegal screens out there. I mean, he freed up Clay and Steph on numerous occasions with illegal screens.
Those
and the officials,
screens.
Right, and the officials were allowing him to do that.
Using Australian football rules to set those screens.
Those are rugby screens.
My question to you gentlemen, and we'll move on shortly. My question is this: where was Andrew Bogut when it counted.
Hurt.
When it was championship time, where was Andrew Bogut? Rarely is he even on the floor, or was he even on the floor during late game situations last year.
No.
Where was Andrew Bogut when it counted? So, Sean, you mentioned game 1 and game 2. He was effective. I consistently remember him being out-rebounded by guys like Tristan Thompson for second-chance opportunities that kept players alive.
Who doesn't Tristan Thompson out-rebound for second opportunities?
But it's not about the rebounding. It's not about.
He didn't out-rebound Bismack Biyombo last year.
It's not about the rebounding with Bogut. It's about the space. He would eat up that space in the paint. And so Bron couldn't do his damage in the paint. He couldn't post down there. When he went to drive to the basket, he couldn't take it up for a layup. He would always have to dish it. So it's not necessarily the rebounding portion.
Bogut is a very skilled internal passer out of the post as well. He hits cutters, he hits slashers, and he has a high basketball IQ. He's not fleet of foot. He's slower than camel snot on a winter morning, but he can pass the ball internally. He has a high IQ, and he has a lot of skill. He just doesn't have a lot of talent.
He's got a lot of skill at getting injured. But moving on. Next series, Spurs Grizzlies. Grizzlies showed a lot of heart, a lot of determination to make the series 2-1. What direction do you guys see this series going in from this point?
Spurs in 6. I like what Memphis did the other night. They played their style of basketball. They got the calls to go their way. Their head coach, his name is escaping me right now, but
Tisdale,
yes. $30,000 lighter in the pocket, I believe it was. But it was all worth it because they got a lot of calls. They got to the free throw line. They started Zach Randolph. I thought that was a great move. And so I really like what I'm seeing from Memphis. I wouldn't be surprised if they tied the series up tomorrow and went 2-2 going back to San Antonio. I don't know. I feel like there's something missing with the Spurs. I think it's the health of
it's called guard play.
Right. Duncan, and then Tony Parker.
Guard play.
Yeah, I mean Tony Parker is
Toby's hairline.
But I think in the end Kawhi is going to be the difference. I'm still waiting for LaMarcus Aldridge to show up into the playoffs. This guy was a perennial all-star, and he's just gotten lost in the San Antonio Spurs system.
Is he? Might he be having heart issues again?
You know what? You know what, man? Hey, that's nothing to play with. Because what was it?
Inappropriate.
Irregular? But I like what I'm seeing from Pau Gasol. And we'll see. I still like the Spurs in 6 games. Kawhi Leonard will get this team to the next round.
What's your take, Sean?
My take is that the Grizzlies obviously play better at the grindhouse. Tisdale, obviously, he said you're not going to rook us. You're not going to treat us like second-rate players. Our guys are taking more shots in the paint, and they're not getting the calls. Conversely, these guys are not shooting near as much or driving to the lane, and the guys are getting double-digit free throw counts. So I think, obviously, the free throw disparity was huge, but they got blown out of those games. Those games weren't even close. Free throws were not what was going to make the difference. The level of effort and really the level of execution, both offensively and defensively, were suspect for the Grizzlies the whole time. I don't think that they have enough depth or talent. I think Tony Allen not being out there to defend hampers them. Even though he's advanced in age, he has remained one of the elite defenders in the league, an all-team defensive type player. And I think that hampers them some. They don't have a lot of great players. Connolly, I think, is an underrated point guard. Obviously, Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol are more advanced in age, and they don't have a whole lot of options outside of them. They're trying to patch the holes by starting Zach Randolph and get some offense earlier in the game instead of digging themselves a hole. But ultimately, I think the execution of the Spurs is going to be too much. I have them 4-2.
And guys,
Absolutely.
Memphis, for years they've had these two bigs. They've had Tony Allen on the wing, but they haven't added any shooters for me whatsoever. No shooters. And until they add shooters that can
Parsons
open
was
up.
supposed to help.
What was that?
Parsons was supposed to help when they had him.
And what's the problem with him? He can't stay healthy.
And they did have Mike Miller for a while.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
Right. But they got to add shooters. I mean, if they can add shooter, and before Gasol's prime is over with, they got to be able to add some shooters, spread the floor for Connolly, spread the floor for Zebo. But like you said, I think 4-2 and 6 for the Spurs.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think 4-2. I think the Spurs will win the next couple games. And just to kind of round out this Spurs Grizzlies series, I think what we've seen over the past several years with the Grizzlies is that they're good enough to be right there, but they're not good enough to beat the elite teams in the West. Zebo and Gasol, and granted, Gasol has stepped his game up a lot. As you guys mentioned, Conley is an underrated point guard, but they aren't good enough to beat the best teams. They can't beat the Warriors. When OKC had Durant and they had Westbrook and Ibaka, they weren't good enough to beat them. They're not going to be good enough to beat the Spurs this year either. So I think
it really speaks though to the evolution of the league and the style of play. I think their style of play is a little bit of a throwback. Get the ball in the post, really bang inside. And when they got matched up with these offensive teams and these teams that had 4s and 5s that were not only able to bang, but they were athletic, they could get out onto the perimeter, the Serge Ibakas, players like that, they really struggled against teams with athletic 4s and 5s.
And again, Kev, to your point, that's where the shooting comes in. When you go into the big fellas, if you have shooters that are able to knock down shots, because let's be honest, it's a 3-point shooting game nowadays. Right. Even if you do facilitate the offense through your bigs, you still need to be able to get shots for your 3-point shooters. So
gotta have it.
So moving on, the last two series we have the Clippers and the Jazz. No Blake Griffin for the rest of this series. Potentially no Rudy Gobert for the Jazz. I think Chris Paul showed that he's still one of the great point guards in the league with a clutch performance last night, 34 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists. Who do you guys see outlasting the other in this series?
I just got back. I'm on kid duty right now, but what series are we in?
Clippers, Utah.
Clippers, Utah. Okay. Right now, I got Utah winning the series. Now I picked the Clips in 5 or 6.
Which was a bold prediction. You said that they would give the Warriors some problems.
Right. And my wife's been laughing at me ever since I made that prediction. She's like, "What's up with your Clips?" First of all, there's not my Clips, so let's be clear about that. But the fact of the matter is, Blake Griffin out for
he got a Clippers beanie now.
Yeah. Chris Paul, phenomenal point guard. I still think he's top 5 in the league.
Absolutely.
Being under 6 foot, the things he can do with the basketball. No Blake Griffin though. I don't know how they're going to be able to win this series.
Surprise.
He was he can't stay healthy, but he was the one matchup problem that the Jazz, they couldn't deal with. It'll be interesting.
He was averaging 25 in that series, Kev.
Yes, he was. Not only that, it was another lower leg extremity type of injury as well. So his legs are failing him for the last couple of years. They'll have to get that checked out. I think that I got the Jazz in 6. I just don't see how the Clips can recover emotionally. I like the heart they showed last night. I was waiting for them to show the type of championship heart and mettle to be able to handle the adversity. They were in a lot of adversity last night. They were down throughout the entire game. They were able to come back and get a win, but I just don't see how they're going to be able to recover with this injury. I don't like Jamal Crawford's game right now at all, especially
Mm.
defensively. They go right
Mm.
at him defensively. I think Gordon Hayward finally saw the lid come up off the basket. I think it's going to ignite him, and he'll be a force to be reckoned with. George Hill's playing okay right now, but I really like what Derek Favors is giving them on the inside. And I'm expecting the Jazz to be able to win this thing in 6. I think that this playoff run for the Clippers is over. And a bigger question is, what do you do with the Clips? Because I only think they have about 3 or 4 games left in this season, in this Clipper era.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I think they're gonna end up having to blow that team up. I think this isn't the first time, even when Blake has been healthy, that he hasn't shown up for a series. Right. He played well this series so far, but pun intended, he can't toe the line. Okay? The thing is, Chris Paul is an outstanding point guard. I kind of have him at this point in his career, kind of maybe on the bubble outside looking in, top 5, maybe 6, just with the depth and the greatness and the ascension of other point guards in the league. However, Crawford, other than he makes some clutch shots, I know he'll hit a 4-point play every now and then, but he's really consistently throughout his career been erratic. His shot selection is suspect.
Right.
His defense is suspect. I was really into the Clippers a couple years ago with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin and Redick, and I really thought once Paul got on a team that had a front office that supported, was willing to go get players, that it was a foregone conclusion this guy was going to be in the finals. He's a consummate professional and competitor. However, I think people don't like to mention also that he was the reason that DeAndre Jordan wanted to leave. It took a last-ditch effort flying out to DeAndre's house, barricading him in the house.
That's good stuff.
Last-ditch effort to steal him away. And as great as Chris Paul is, there are some circles and players that talk anonymously that have a problem with Chris Paul's style of leadership.
Hey, that is good insider stuff. Hey, Vaughn, that's Peter Vesey type stuff right there, man. With that insider stuff, man. Good stuff.
So I just think the Clippers for the last couple of years have been fool's gold. Ever since they blew it in Houston a year or two ago, I really have counted them out. And I think their window has already closed. The time has been ticking. It's time to blow up that team. Gordon Hayward is better than people think. He's gritty. I thought the loss of Gobert was huge, but players stepped up. ISO Joe hits a last-second shot. They're well-coached. They're gritty. They have the liquid Terminator as the coach in Robert Patrick. And I got them winning in 7 games. I got Utah in 7.
In 7, all right.
Listen. With all due respect to Lob City and the Clippers, let's call a spade a spade. These guys have been very unfortunate when it comes to the injury bug. If it's not Chris Paul going out with an injury, it's been Blake Griffin. So I don't think we've really had an opportunity to see them fully healthy. But we do know a couple things. We do know that they did blow a 3-1 lead against a James Harden-led Houston Rockets team. A series that they should have won.
A Rockets team that wasn't ready to win a championship. Also, that was the year Golden State won their first. I don't think they were necessarily ready to win a championship either. I think the Clippers blew a big opportunity.
They had no business beating the Clippers that series.
Right.
That was the Clippers. I want to say it was their Western Conference championship to lose.
To lose, yeah.
So I think they haven't ever fully recovered from that. I think you guys made great points about that roster. I think Hiroshima, Nagasaki, that's what needs to happen to that Clippers roster. Blow the whole thing up. Just one more thing about Jamal Crawford. I absolutely agree with you. His shot selection has been terrible. Now, Crawford has always been an ISO type basketball player. Never really much of a defensive presence. He gave you that spark off the bench. He's a guy that has a great crossover, has a great handle, very streaky shooter, resembles E.T. very much if you ever take a look at him closely. But he hasn't been able to get any of those shots to phone home this series against the Jazz. And just one more thing about the Jazz. I watched that game closely yesterday evening in the fourth quarter. Gordon Hayward had 2 or 3 air balls when it counted. There were no other scorers that Utah Jazz could turn to, even ISO Joe. You know, I think he got maybe 1 or 2 baskets, but it was something like a 12-0 run spearheaded by Chris Paul, which is what eventually got the victory for the Clippers. But I'm not quite sold on the Utah Jazz. It was very revealing, their performance in the fourth quarter. I thought Gordon Hayward had a tremendous first half, but you can't airball 2 or 3 times while you're still close and have an opportunity to win a game. So
right.
I've seen Kobe do that in playoffs, and he's like heralded as like one of the greatest ever. But
Kobe was a rookie, and he wasn't an alpha dog on the team at that time.
He thought he was.
Gordon Hayward, an all-star, alpha dog on that team, wasn't even close to making the shots that he put up that he airballed.
Right.
So with that said, I'm going with the Clippers. I think they could be up 3-0 in this series, if not for a great shot by Joe Johnson in game 1. And I think Chris Paul is definitely going to lead the Clippers to a victory in this series. So, you know what? Quickly, because we need to move on. I just need picks. How do you see, or who do you have winning the Thunder Rocket series?
Rockets. Rockets will end this in 5.
In 5. Sean?
I agree. I got Rockets in 5. The OKC just does not. I'm not gonna say they don't have the firepower. I mean,
they don't. They don't have the firepower. You're right.
Yeah, even when they did get the ball, they couldn't do anything. They're not optimizing their sets, but either way, they just don't have enough talent. I think Lou Williams has been huge for the Rockets.
Gigantic.
Made some clutch shots. This guy literally may have the hugest mouth I've ever seen. Patrick Beverly looks like a Muppet, man, but he's been playing some inspired ball. He's knocked down clutch shot after clutch shot. So is Lou Williams. They're too talented for OKC. OKC loses in 5 games.
All right, I got Houston in 6 games. Excuse me. I think OKC will find a way to scratch and claw, get one more. But as you guys mentioned, I think the disparity in talent is evident. Even with OKC shooting 55% yesterday, it seemed like it was an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Even though he shot 55%.
I don't need any point guard ever in a regulation 4-quarter game to shoot 48 times.
That's not fair. That's not fair. But go ahead.
Look, here's my thing. And I understand that you have to take over the game and you need to shoot more than other people. 48 times. There's 48 minutes in a game. He shot on an average a shot every minute of the game, whether he was on the court or not. He was shooting from the bench, Kevin.
In the fourth quarter, his teammates were 2 for 13. What do you guys want him to do? What do you want him to do?
What was his shooting percentage?
Oh, well, his shooting.
What was he in the fourth quarter? 1 for 14 or something?
If you're gonna tell me that 2 guys are gonna shoot bad percentage wise, I'd rather it be Russell Westbrook than anybody else. Victor Oladipo, anybody else. I'd rather have Russell Westbrook shooting the basketball. And it's the fault of the Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City built this roster this way. They drafted Kevin Durant, and then they went out and they got a combo guard. Russell Westbrook was a 2 guard at UCLA. Remember, Darren Collison was the point guard. Russell Westbrook was a 2 guard. So they drafted a combo guard, and they wanted to convert him to point guard. And when they drafted James Harden, when those 3 were on the floor, KD, Westbrook, and Harden, who was the playmaker? James Harden. James Harden was the point. And then Westbrook was on one wing, KD was on the other wing. So this is the fault of Oklahoma City upper management, okay, drafting a combo guard, and also asking him to be one of the primary scorers. When KD was there last year, their primary scorers, KD and Russell Westbrook. So,
I'm going to agree with you that the front office and Presti has not made the best moves to surround Westbrook with the talent that he needs.
Right.
He's an improved passer. He's a great rebounder, and he's a prolific scorer. However, I think in a game where you have to utilize your teammates, and I understand that it's a make or miss league. Sometimes shots don't go down, but it doesn't mean you stop making the right basketball players. You have to have faith in the system. You have to have faith in your sets. And just because shots go down, you can't jump shit and abandon the game plan. This is the time in the league, in the series, in the juncture in the season, that is paramount that you stick to your game plan, that you let the coaches make proper adjustments, and you live with the results. You can't shoot 1 for 14. You can't get to 1 to 14. If you already see the missing shots, you have to start getting to the line. You have to get other guys involved and make the right basketball plays. I just can't justify shooting 43 times.
Here's the thing, Sean. Here's the thing.
And I love Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook is the game plan for the OKC Thunder. And as far as us saying that the OKC front office hasn't necessarily surrounded Russell Westbrook with the players that he needs, keep in mind they had Kevin Durant last year. Keep in mind this was a two-headed monster, and they were one of the more talented rosters in the league. Everybody was saying it. If there was a team that could challenge the Golden State Warriors, or if there was a team that could challenge the Cleveland Cavaliers from a talent standpoint, it was the OKC Thunder. So I think
because they had two MVPs. They had two MVP caliber players.
Right, but this has been a transition year. So to be honest, Sam Presti hasn't had the opportunity to necessarily surround Russell Westbrook with the type of players that would be conducive to winning and him not taking 40 shots. Now, I think he did pull a good trade when he sent the young point guard. I forget what his name is, but they got McDermott and they got Taj Gibson return.
I need more Taj. I need more
McDermott. I wish he can get more minutes. But real quick, the last thing on this is, Sean, you're right about your point. You don't want your point guard shooting that much, but I think, and you want your point guard to trust the process. That's the next step in the evolution of Russell Westbrook. Just trusting a little bit more in his teammates, trusting a little bit more in the process, and I think he'll get there. He's phenomenal. He's the MVP. He'll get there.
I mean, obviously our job is to give our opinions and be critical at some point. But I should have prefaced it by saying OKC has overachieved.
Yes, they have.
They shouldn't honestly even be here. Like, if you look at their lineup, I didn't think they'd be here at the beginning of the year.
Right.
The fact that they are here is a testament to Russell Westbrook's tenacity, his gameplay, and his execution, and his belief in himself and galvanizing that team. So they're just outgunned right now. They're facing a better team, and maybe he is forced to shoot more shots than maybe even he's comfortable taking.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you why. We talk about trust. We throwing the word trust around as if it just grows on trees. When he trusted his teammates not to blow a 12-point lead when he went to the bench.
Right.
What did they do? They blew the lead. They blew the lead.
They gave it up.
So we're talking about trust. They blew the lead and they blew the game. So Westbrook, being the competitor that he is, started to make some bad decisions, started to take some bad shots because he didn't trust the team. But the team didn't necessarily put themselves in position to earn that trust either.
Hey, Bud.
They stunk it up.
Bud, that's a good point.